Hey everybody, Milton Davis here. I'm back again with another video on the Changa Safari series. Tonight, I should say, we are entering into Changa Safari Volume 3. Actually, we're going to be looking at Book 7, which is called Master of the Lake. Now, when we get to Changa Volume 3, Changa has actually returned from his adventures in the East. Just left from Ethiopia. Most of you who have read the book know that book 2 was a very interesting changing type story. There kind of brought some different things into focus. So now Changa is actually back in East Africa. As a matter of fact, he is actually back in his old stomping grounds of Mombasa. Now, I'm not going to go into a lot of detail of the story. I'm going to leave that to you to read either in this book or in the upcoming Changa Safari Special Edition. But what we want to do again is talk a lot about the history behind the book. And this time I'm going to talk about trade routes. We already talked a little bit about Mombasa, about Pemba, about some of the other cities of the Swahili coast or the east coast of Africa. And we talked about that when we were talking about the first story in Changa Safari. But now we're at the 7th story. So what I want to do is spend a little time about trade routes because, there were a lot of trade routes where that connected different parts of Africa and that connected the continent to the rest of the world. Of course, I've got one of my famous opposite maps. But before I go on, I want to do like I always do. I want to preface this by saying that I am not a trained historian. That is not my background. The information that I'm sharing with you guys, I'm sharing from doing my own research and experience. Please feel free to disagree with me. Just hoping that this will give us an opportunity to talk about histories that we don't normally talk about, and hopefully people will do the research to either verify what I'm saying or deny what I'm saying or whatever. But let's talk about Changa Safari. So I got this map here, which is actually a pretty good map, and this is a map that shows the trade routes around the African continent, not only those within the interior, but those of the ships sailing around. I kind of don't like the fact that they've got the Portuguese trade route when it comes to the east part of Africa, because these were things that existed long before the Portuguese came around the Cape and discovered this. And I would rather see something that was showing the ships going out west. But since we're just focusing on going east, since we're just focusing on the African continent, I guess that's okay. But one of the things I wanted you guys to notice is like the interior trade routes that you see here. You notice and I'll post this map in the comment sections once I'm done. But if you notice, you can see some of the northern trade routes of the northern part of Africa, how different things connected. One thing that people don't understand is that in this area here where the Sahara used to be a grassland, and people were traveling across this area long before it became a desert. And it became a desert slowly, so people were able to follow those same trade routes across from the forest area of West Africa all the way up to the northern area of Africa. And one of the things that was interesting to me that I found out is when they did lead caravans across the Sahara, the caravans only carried enough supplies to get them halfway across the desert. At that point, a person was sent out ahead of everyone else to go get supplies and stuff and come back and then replenish the supplies in the caravan so it can make it the rest of the way. So basically, if that person that was sent ahead to bring back supplies didn't return, then y'all basically in trouble. But that's kind of one of the things that I heard that was really kind of interesting. But what I wanted to talk about too is that, okay, when we get to the 3rd book, Changa actually travels from Mombasa to Canaan Bornu, which is in this area here. And if you notice, there's an open area right here that doesn't show any trade routes connecting. Even the map says poorly known inland trade routes. That's what it says. And I was kind of faced with that dilemma when I was writing the stories. I was like, well, I could have Changa go north and maybe go up to the Mombasa area and stuff like that, and then go across this area, across, Egypt, which at the time was controlled by the Mamluks, in the Songhai and stuff like that. But I didn't want him to do that because I had another African kingdom empire that I wanted him to encounter. So I basically came up with the first book, a storyline where Changa's old friend actually knew a route that would take them across this area. And this is where Changa runs into the story and encounters the lake that is like the main focus of the first story, Master of the Lake, and also has some other adventures that I think was kind of unique as far as everything is concerned. So basically, that's how I was able to get, you know, Changa from East Africa to West Africa. And at that point, he goes to the kingdom of Canaan Bornu. He ends up in the Songhai Empire. He eventually ends up in the Oyo City States. This map is a little older, so it doesn't acknowledge some of those places, because as you can see, it has Aksum on here, and it also has Merowe, and these are cities that didn't exist during the 15th century when Changa was traveling in these areas and stuff like that. But I like it because a lot of these trade routes basically did not change over the years because of the fact that the weather conditions didn't change, and they were routes that people knew, you know, for centuries and stuff, so they continued to use them and stuff. So that's basically it. That's our history behind the fantasy for tonight. I don't like to have to draw these things out, you know, just something to give you some ideas, some things to think about when you're reading the stories. Hopefully some things that will bring some more information or be more enlightening for you if you've already read the books. Again, you know, it's a 4-book series. We have Changa Safari, which is the first book, the first 3 katabus or stories. We have, where's the second book at? Here it is. We've got Changa Volume 2. We've got Changa Volume 3. And then we have the last book, which is Son of Nfumu, that rounds out the entire series. And we also have Before the Safari, which is a collection of stories that were written about Changa and his crew before they decide to take the journey. And actually, one of the stories from Before the Safari, The Gate, is going to be republished in a magazine pretty soon. I'll be able to share the details for you later on. But that's it. And okay, I forgot. Also, one more thing is that if you don't want to get all 4 books separate, the Changa Safari Special Edition will be available on December the 12th. It is actually all these books combined in an 8.5 by 11 book hardcover. It's also going to include some artwork and stuff like that I've collected over the years, kind of like a celebration of 10 years of Changa Safari. So that's it. I hope you guys enjoyed it. We will be back, I don't know, maybe in a couple of days to talk about the second book in the second story in the series, which is, looking here. That's the third. That's the other one. Will be Kitabu Chanane, Book 8, the Nyama book. So, hope you guys enjoyed it. I enjoyed sharing this information with you, and I'll see you next time. Peace.